Innuendo, double entendres, naughty images, these are just a few of the things that you can find where you least expect them. Disney movies. That's right, you might not have noticed when you were a kid, but some Disney movies are hiding some very adult content. Welcome to The Binger. Rumors have swirled for decades that Disney's animated movies aren't always as pure as they seem. Now, thanks to inventions like the internet and the pause button, eagle-eyed viewers can prove it. And it turns out, in many a Disney movie, characters are drawn in questionable ways or say and do eyebrow-raising things. Here, we're taking a look at some choice examples that are definitely not appropriate for children. One of the best things about one of the newest Disney movies, Frozen, is that it doesn't adhere to the traditional princess movie plot. Early in the film, when Anna gets engaged to Hans after meeting him that day, though, viewers were worried that they might be in for more of the same. Instead, Frozen subverted the traditional "Someday My Prince Will Come" story when Anna takes off after her sister and meets Kristoff. Upon learning that she got engaged to Hans after only spending a couple hours with him, Kristoff gives voice to what we were all thinking. The engagement is ridiculous. After all, what could she possibly know about Hans after such short amount of time? Kristoff quizzes Anna. And then there's this gem.
Eye color.
Dreamy.
Foot size.
Foot size doesn't matter.
That's right, it's an off-color joke right in the middle of Frozen. As many adult viewers would know, foot size can be used as a reference to the male anatomy. And Anna's observation that size doesn't matter is a nod to an ongoing debate women have been having for years. Or at least a debate pop culture believes women are having. Either way, a Disney movie is not the time nor place anyone would expect it to come up. Anna is clearly not as innocent as she looks. In this next scene from Toy Story 2, Jessie helps Andy's dog out of his room so he can have some private time in the yard. But it looks like Buzz Lightyear is in need of some private time as well. The scene sees Space Ranger Buzz meeting cowgirl Jessie for the first time. Buzz is clearly taken with Jessie. When she shows her prowess at opening the bedroom door for the family's needy dog, though, Buzz has a very, loaded reaction. After watching Jessie complete her feat, Buzz's jaw drops and his wings spring out. Sure, it could be just an innocent exclamation of delight. However, many viewers read it to mean something more. Those people see his response of Buzz's wings as a symbol for what's happening a little lower on his anatomy. Of course, Buzz is a toy and probably not anatomically correct, so perhaps his wings are making up for that absence. The Little Mermaid features a bevy of charming undersea creatures, including Sebastian the crab. Sebastian helps Ariel throughout the movie. He tries to set her straight about becoming human in the show-stopping number Under the Sea. Even when that fails miserably and she goes to the Sea Witch to exchange her fins for legs, he assists her despite her questionable choices. And how does she repay him? Well, in one scene it appears she's about to eat a crab that looks pretty much exactly like him. Yikes! When Ariel is attempting to woo Prince Eric, Sebastian inadvertently ends up in the castle's kitchen only to find a crab massacre. The chef is making stuffed crab for dinner, and Sebastian almost ends up being part of the meal. While Sebastian manages to escape with his life, it's the scene at dinner that really has us wondering about Ariel. When the stuffed crab on Eric's plate is unveiled, her reaction is nothing. She doesn't seem disturbed at all, even though the idea of eating a meal resembling one of her closest allies should at least give her pause. Ariel is far from horrified, though. She helps Sebastian escape from the chef, but is unmoved by the plight of his fellow crabs. Fortunately, we don't see Ariel actually partake in the meal, but it looks like she very well might have. That's cold, Ariel. Another moment with violent implications happens in Mulan. The movie is the inspiring tale of a young woman who disguises herself as a man so she can take her elderly father's place in the Imperial Army. While the Army's soldiers are serious fighters, the Hun they are battling are made out to be vicious. And that's particularly true of their leader, the deadly Shan Yu. As kids, we know that Shan Yu is evil because he talks in a low voice and he's really mean. However, there's one scene in the film that really drives that point home, although many kids might have missed it. In the scene, the Hun discover a pair of Imperial scouts. Shan Yu threatens them and instructs them to bring the Emperor a message. As the men turn to run away, Shan Yu casually asks,
"How many men does it take to deliver a message?"
As an adult, it's pretty hard to miss the implications of that scene. Clearly, in asking the question, Shan Yu is telling his men to take out one of the two scouts. The scene cuts before we can see where the arrow that Shan Yu's soldier shoots goes, so many kids may miss the scene's meaning. For adults, though, it's singularly brutal. Sure, it establishes the horrors of armed conflict, but it's kind of the last thing you'd expect in a Disney movie. Many Disney films make sure that their protagonists never actually off the villains of their films. This leaves the filmmakers in a bit of a bind, though. What do you do to make sure that your bad guy doesn't come back if you won't let your hero end them? Well, Disney's employed an interesting solution in several of its films. The villains meet their demise in a terrible accident at the climax of their film, often when they're just about to do something horrible. That way they can just fall out of frame, saving the kids watching the trauma of witnessing their lifeless bodies. The movie Tarzan appears to use this technique to get rid of their main antagonist. The villain of the piece, the hunter Clayton, threatens Tarzan's gorilla family. As Clayton and Tarzan fight in the jungle's treetops, Clayton slips and falls, becoming tangled in the vines. Afterwards, the movie shows Clayton's machete fall to the ground, followed by Tarzan landing there too. What many viewers missed, though, is that Clayton's body actually is shown after his demise. Post-battle, a thunderstorm lights up the jungle around Tarzan, and the shadow of Clayton's hanged body can clearly be seen in the background. God, it's a visual that most people initially miss because you're watching Tarzan. But once you see it, you'll never overlook it again. The Disney classic Beauty and the Beast is another film that has its villain meet their end off-screen. Gaston may think a lot of himself, but even he can't avoid the consequences of taking a tumble off a roof. However, the person who put Gaston in that position is Gaston. After learning about the Beast and realizing that Belle, the woman he intended to marry, loves him, he whips the townspeople into a frenzy. He gets them to accompany him to the Beast's castle to take out the scary-looking creature. Unfortunately, despite his impressive brawn, Gaston is no match for the Beast. Yet when the Beast exhibits compassion and walks away from their fight, Gaston takes the opportunity to stab him in the back. It's only then that the Beast accidentally knocks Gaston off the roof. While Gaston's fate is pretty obvious, if you look closely or use the pause button, tiny skulls can be seen in Gaston's eyes as he falls. The implication of those skulls makes the scene even more morbid. Disney's filmmakers haven't commented on most of the scenes we've mentioned in this video. However, Lee Unkrich, one of the minds behind the Toy Story films, has been more than willing to discuss these next examples. Unkrich has directed or co-directed several Pixar films. He is also a huge fan of Stanley Kubrick's horror movie The Shining, which centers on a father who loses his mind and attacks his family with an axe. It's not exactly kid-friendly fare. Nonetheless, because of his love for it, Unkrich does his best to work in references to The Shining in each of his projects. He started the tradition with Toy Story. In the movie, he made the pattern of the carpet in toy tormentor Sid's house to match the pattern of the carpet in The Shining's Overlook Hotel. The sequence in Sid's house is already disturbing. Sid dismantles and tortures his poor toys. Knowing there's also a Shining reference in the sequence makes Toy Story's most horrifying scenes seem even more horrific. Toy Story 3 also includes several references to The Shining. In particular, the number 237, the number of the hotel room where creepy things happen in The Shining, makes a total of 3 appearances. A garbage truck has a license plate that reads RM237. Woody messages a toy with the codename Velocastar 237, and a security camera at Sunnyside Daycare has the model number Overlook R237. Finally, in Toy Story 4, after Woody rescues Bonnie's favorite toy Forky, he makes them stop at an antique shop. He's hoping to reunite with long-lost toy Bo Peep, but he gets more than he bargained for. Soon he meets 3 very creepy ventriloquist dummies who are minions to the sinister doll Gabby Gabby. And their initial meeting is made even more unnerving by the fact that the whole thing is soundtracked to Midnight the Stars and You. That song is played during The Shining's end credits sequence. And knowing all the horror that happens in the movie only deepens the unsettling introduction of the dummies and Gabby Gabby. In Disney's mythologically themed Hercules, the hero is seen pummeling many things with confidence due to his spectacular strength. However, there's one scene where this leads to some, surprising visuals. When Hercules first comes across his eventual love interest Meg, she's being accosted by river guardian Nessus, a centaur. Hercules decides to step in to help Meg and strike a blow that sends Nessus skyward. When he lands, a bump sprouts from the top of his head that looks, well, not like your typical bump. Yes, Nessus appears to be sporting a distinctive part of the male anatomy on his head. It's hard to say if the reference was intentional, but it sure is unmistakable. Seriously, how did this make it into the movie? The Lion King is one of the most beloved movies of all time. The original 1994 movie is so adored that its splashy photorealistic remake was a box office slam dunk even before it was released. Yet there's a specific scene in the original film that raised the hackles of the conservative group American Life League. In the scene, Simba walks to the edge of the cliff and collapses in defeat. In the process, he kicks up dust that blows into the night sky. That dust appears to spell something. What we know for sure is that the first letter of the three-letter word is S and the last letter is X. The American Life League insisted that the middle letter was the letter E. And it seems that's the word that most people see, at least when they've been instructed to look for it. Yet the animators claimed that it was not the case. They said that the middle letter of the word is F, with the entire word spelling out SFX as a nod to the special effects department. If that's true, this one actually is just a product of our dirty minds. Makes you think. Did you catch any of these scenes with hidden meanings before? Have you noticed others we didn't mention? Share away in the comments, but keep it clean, folks. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to The Binger for more awesome content. Thanks for watching.